Jessica this morning is talking about some of the fallout when it comes to these bitter cold conditions that we have. And Jessica, you're at Boerum Hill for the second straight day because Con Ed is really having some big problems trying to get this power back on. Yesterday was about 2,000 customers. What are we looking at today?
Well, Dan, I can tell you this, a little bit of good news here in Boerum Hill because we've been speaking throughout the morning, and this hour right now, I'm looking at the Con Edison outage map here, and it tells me in this area there's 486 customers without service, which is less than we spoke at 8 o'clock, less than when we spoke at 9 o'clock. But I want you guys to take a live look here. We are in St. Mark's Place between 3rd and 4th Avenues. You can see that big generator right there. That is a big generator that is helping supply power to residents here. And then up the block, just a block, half a block away, there is a Con Edison truck here working around the clock. They just swapped out. There was an emergency, one of the red vehicles, and they just swapped out within the last hour, and that one is there. If you look up the block, which you can't see, but up the other way, there are a number of crews as well. They've been out here since this weekend, really, because this issue started on Friday. We spoke to residents yesterday who tell us that on Friday, some of them were experiencing a partial outage, some of them were experiencing total outage, complete outage in their homes and apartments. They said they spent, the weekend with these frigid temperatures, trying to use blankets, wearing their clothing to sleep because that's all they could do. Clearly, not everyone has the resources to go and book a hotel and stay there. I did speak to one woman just about 2 hours ago. She was rolling her suitcase down the block, and I stopped her and I said, hey, did you lose power at some point? She tells me, look, over the weekend we had partial power, which was fine. We were able to manage. But yesterday we actually lost power completely, and we decided as a family to head to the hotel because she goes, I have children. It's bitter cold out. I didn't want them to stay in the home with these temperatures. So she was rolling her suitcase down the block, heading home because she got a phone call from a neighbor saying, come back, the power is back on. So she was going to go check it out. I think we have her interview. You want to just listen in? So you had power Friday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday you were okay?
Yeah, that was partially outage. That was okay. And since we have a gas heating system, that was fine. But then the electricity is completely gone. It's over. That was yesterday. Yeah.
And how is the situation at your home now?
I don't know. Just heading back, so hopefully everything okay.
Wait, where did you go? I see your suitcase. Where did you go?
Yeah, in a hotel nearby. So it's crazy.
Wow, you had to go to the hotel because it was just so cold in your apartment?
Yeah, yeah, and we have 2 kids, so we definitely needed to go out for that night. But neighbors told us it's everything back online, so hopefully also the heating.
So how are you feeling knowing that power is back?
Yeah, thanks God. Yeah, we are happy, of course. Hope it's gonna be okay from today.
Was it a struggle the last 24 hours for you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the kids enjoy it so much because of the hotel and, some excitement the first day of February, but otherwise, of course, it's extra expenses and extra craziness. But until we can get back, it's fine. I mean, it happens.
Well, good luck. Hopefully there's power in your house. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
All right, so we heard she's one of the lucky ones there. Jessica, as we know, here in the city, unlike maybe out in the suburbs, they bury the power lines a lot of the time. So they're underneath the ground. And it's typically as a benefit because when you have the high winds and things along those lines, you don't have to necessarily worry about it. But the city says, and Con Ed says, because of all of the salt that they had to put out on the roads over these last couple days, that's created some of these problems. Is that right? That some of the salt that's on the road that they're using to make sure the roads aren't slick and are cleared, that's then creating this secondary problem?
Yeah, so essentially, Dan, that's what happened. The snowstorm is to blame. That is what Con Edison is telling us. They're saying that because clearly, yes, you're right, it's underground, so all the electrical wiring is underneath. They're saying the salt that was spread here on the ground and even the ice got into the system underground and essentially got into the wires, damaging the wires. But they were also facing another issue, was that a lot of it you have to open up the manhole in order to get to the electrical system, right? So snow piled up, ice piled up. They had to remove that ice in order to get to the electrical system. So that pushed them back a little bit. So it was a little bit of everything, but essentially it was the snowstorm. Even though it's been a week, this is what Con Edison crews are dealing with. And they've been out here since this weekend, like I said, working around the clock to make sure that residents get their power back. Right. Which I said, it is a good thing this morning, a bit of good news, I should say, because we are seeing those numbers coming down, which is a good sign. We're also seeing some trucks leaving the area, which is a good sign. You know, I also have to mention, Dan, that there are NYCHA buildings behind me as well, so you can only imagine residents who may be in wheelchairs or can't walk, need an elevator. They've pretty much been trapped in their apartments because they're facing no power. So aside from the heat issue, some people trapped in their own homes because they cannot walk down the stairs. So that's also
I think we have an interview with someone who was in one of those NYCHA buildings, and it was her daughter who I believe had some problems. So let's take a listen to that interview. I mean, just something that New Yorkers are dealing with here.
I'm going to go down the stairs with my daughter with the lights off. They should take me out now. Me and my daughter put us somewhere safe.
We got 200 tenants in this development. Yes, it is the first time we experience an outage. But how is that they're providing only 4 heaters for 200 tenants?
Oh, big problems, certainly that a lot of people are dealing with. You know, it's interesting when you say 500 customers without power. You know, a customer might be a household might be 3 or 4 people. So it is a lot of people who, you know, are sort of wrapped up in this. Jessica, wanted to talk as well, because we know that 16 New Yorkers, since the start of this sort of cold snap and the storm that we had over the last 10 days or so, 16 New Yorkers have died. The mayor said that they have confirmed that 3 of them were because of drug overdoses, but still there were 13 others who were confirmed to have died from hypothermia. Let's take a listen to the mayor, because the mayor spoke about this, and then we'll check back in with Jessica.
We are speaking across the 5 boroughs of warming buses and vans. We are speaking of mobile warming units that are equipped with clinicians as well as resources, and then warming centers as well themselves. And what we are also working with NYSM to do right now, partially in regards to your question, is to add additional signage outside of these units so that for anyone walking by them who hasn't actually been met by an outreach worker during their shifts, that they know that these are the units that should be keeping them warm. That signage is going to be rolling out today and tomorrow.
Certainly the mayor has faced, I can't say criticism just yet, but there are at least 2 borough presidents who are calling for him to break up some of those homeless shelters, or not homeless shelters, but homeless encampments that you see out on city streets. But pick it up from there, Jessica, because the mayor was asked about that and did address it. Can you pick it up from there, Jessica?
Yeah, so the mayor was asked specifically about that. As you said, we know that the Queensborough president, Donovan Richards, is one of them. Even though he's been supporting Mamdani since the beginning, he says, listen, it's time to get rid of those encampments. The other one is Staten Island Borough President Vito Fossella. But the mayor yesterday telling reporters that none of the individuals who died of hypothermia were people who were living in those encampments. He says they are known to be homeless shelters, but not living outside of those encampments. So he made that clear. Of course, we're still waiting on the medical examiner to do all the other tests, and we haven't been told by the city whether or not those individuals were living in those encampments or not. So hopefully we'll learn more.
Exactly right, Jessica. And, you know, certainly these next couple days we're going to be in the 30s. But then we know by the end of the week, I was just talking to Mike up in the weather center, we could see some snow again, maybe an inch or 2 in the city, and then the temperatures are going to plunge back down into the single digits. So this is an issue that is prominent and something that the mayor is certainly going to have to address over these next couple days. Jessica Formoso, live in the Boerum Hall section of Brooklyn this morning, where it sounds like Con Ed, you can hear them working. And it's
so actually, Dad, I wanted to clarify that. It's actually not Con Edison working right now. You can hear that noise. That is actually a private company who's out here. I actually went to ask them, like, are you like a third party that they are contracted, that they're hired? They're like, no. We're actually here for a water plumbing issue, a water piping issue that they're going to start doing, which you can hear them behind me working. So that this has nothing, this work that's being done behind us has nothing to do with Con Edison or the outages.
All right, only the facts from Jessica Formoso this morning. Thank you very much, Jessica. We'll check back in with you soon.